Imagine making dinner every night with no one else in the house. No guests, no family, no reason to cook more than you absolutely have to. The kitchen that once fed 4 people now feels too big. The pots feel too large. Even buying a loaf of bread means most of it goes stale before you finish it. So what did people actually eat when cooking for one in the 1970s and 1980s on a limited monthly budget? Not the meals we usually remember, not the ones people tended to write down. The quiet, everyday dinners that kept people fed when cooking was the last thing they wanted to do. Grilled cheese with tomato soup. 2 slices of bread, a bit of butter, a slice of processed cheese, the kind that had become a fixture in American refrigerators by the late 60s, when individually wrapped slices became widely available and shelf life suddenly mattered more than it once had. The soup came from a can. Tomato soup, heated slowly, sometimes stretched with a little water or milk to make it go further. Crispy on the outside, soft in the middle. Warm, simple, done in 10 minutes. This was the kind of meal that didn't ask much of you, and on evenings that felt long and quiet, with no phone calls and no particular reason to sit at the table, that mattered more than people realize. Scrambled eggs on toast. Many older Americans found themselves living alone for the first time in their lives. Spouses had died, children had moved away, monthly checks covered the basics, and not much beyond that, which is why eggs were always there. Cheap, quick, dependable, and one of the few proteins that made sense when cooking for one. A dozen eggs often cost well under $1. They kept for weeks. They required almost nothing to prepare and almost nothing to clean up afterward. Scrambled in minutes, served on toast, nothing on the side, no extras, just something hot at the end of the day. Fried egg sandwich. Even simpler than scrambled eggs, 1 egg fried in a little butter until the edges turned just slightly crisp, 2 slices of bread, maybe a shake of salt, maybe a smear of mustard if the jar happened to be in the refrigerator door. Dinner didn't always make it to the table. Sometimes it was eaten standing at the counter straight from the pan before it had fully cooled. Nobody was watching, nobody was waiting, and there was something quietly freeing about that, even if it also felt some nights like something had been lost. Butter noodles with parmesan. Pasta didn't mean a full production. No sauce simmering, no long prep. Just egg noodles boiled for 8 minutes, drained, tossed with butter, and a shake of parmesan from the green cardboard can on the second shelf. Filling, cheap, and done before you could think twice about it. As food prices rose, every meal became a small calculation. For seniors on fixed incomes, a single bag of egg noodles, shelf-stable and inexpensive, could stretch across several evenings. That arithmetic mattered more than most people outside that situation understood. Canned chicken noodle soup with crackers. This was the fallback, the meal you made when even simple cooking felt like too much for the evening, when standing at the stove felt like more than you had in you. Open the can, pour it into a pot, heat it until steam rises. Add a few crackers on the side. Chicken noodle soup had been in American kitchens for decades. By this point, it was as familiar as furniture. For many people living alone, it wasn't just food. It was the easiest option on nights, when that's all you needed it to be. Tomato soup from a can, sometimes even simpler than that. No sandwich alongside it, no crackers, just soup. Stretched with a little water or milk, poured into a bowl, eaten quietly at the table or in front of the television. What these people ate rarely made it into cookbooks. Nobody was documenting it. It was just what happened, quietly in kitchens across the country, night after night. Eating alone changes your relationship with food in ways that are hard to explain. Portions that once seemed obvious become negotiable. Meals that once felt too small become enough. Instant mashed potatoes with gravy. There was no peeling, no boiling, no standing over a pot with a masher. Just hot water poured into a bowl of powder, stirred until thick, topped with gravy from a packet or a jar, kept in the back of the cabinet. Instant mashed potatoes had quietly become a staple. For seniors with arthritis, limited mobility, or simply limited energy at the end of the day, they weren't a compromise. They were genuinely useful. soft, warm, heavy in the stomach. The kind of meal that made you feel like you had actually eaten something real. Instant oatmeal with raisins or honey. Dinner didn't always look like dinner. Sometimes it looked like breakfast, and nobody was there to question it. Instant oatmeal, made in minutes with boiling water, sweetened with a handful of raisins or a slow drizzle of honey. Warm, easy, predictable, in the best possible way. There's a particular freedom in eating whatever you want, whenever you want it, with no one else's preferences to consider. And sometimes that same freedom feels a little heavier than expected. Tuna salad on crackers. No stove needed. A can of tuna, drained, mixed with a spoonful of mayonnaise, maybe a little celery salt, spread onto a handful of crackers on a plate, or left on the cutting board. Put together in minutes, eaten just as quickly. For someone keeping a careful eye on grocery money, a single can stretched across 2 small meals wasn't a strategy anyone had taught them. It was just routine. Peanut butter and banana sandwich. Sweet, soft, and filling. Something you could make without thinking. No recipe, no plan, no effort at all. The banana was going soft before the week was out anyway. And sometimes, after a long, quiet day in an empty house, not having to think was the whole point. Cottage cheese with canned peaches. Cold, quiet, simple. A spoon, a bowl, and that was dinner. Not really cooked, just opened and combined. The syrup from the peaches pooling at the edges. Cottage cheese had been popular for decades, valued for its protein and its low cost. Paired with canned peaches, sweet, soft, requiring nothing, it was the kind of meal that asked very little of the person eating it. Some nights, that was exactly the right amount to ask. Cheese and crackers with apple slices. A few crackers, some sliced cheese, an apple, cut into wedges without ceremony. More like putting something together than actually cooking. The kind of meal that appears without fuss and disappears just as quietly. No pan waiting in the sink, no real cleanup. Just the plate, the chair, and the long evening ahead. These meals didn't have names. They weren't passed down. Nobody wrote them into a recipe book or talked about them at dinner parties, because there were no dinner parties. They were just what people made when they were tired, when money was tight, and when no one else was coming over. And maybe that's why almost no one remembers them. But for many people living alone, the widows, the retirees, the people quietly managing a life that had grown smaller with the years, this wasn't unusual. It was just dinner. And meals like these filled evening after evening in kitchens that were just a little too quiet, in houses that still held the shape of a life that used to be larger.